Hoisik means stance opening sequence. Open your stance. Hoisik sequence. The hoisik sequence has a few parts. The first part of the hoisik sequence is called Subjisao. Subjisao. Subjisao means character 10 hand. Say that in French.
Caractère 10, caractère 10. Le main caractère 10.
Yeah. It's called. Explain why it's called character 10 in French.
Ça s'appelle caractère 10 parce qu'en chinois, le caractère, c'est une croix.
Okay? So, in Wing Chun, the people that created Wing Chun, they wanted it to be simple. So most styles of martial arts have fancy names. 2 dragons come out of the sea. Or, no, that's a real move. It's not a joke. They do have moves like that. Or moves like playing the violin. Or the beautiful princess, and like that. Many styles of martial arts have names like that. But Wing Chun does not use such names because they wanted to make it simple. So Subjisao is something everybody in China knows what a 10 is. It's an X. So it's like for us to say X hand instead of 2 dragons shoot to the sea. It's more of a practical name. Subjisao. Character 10 hand. Next is Kwansao. Kwansao means rolling arms. Rolling arms. Kwansao. Next is Saokun. Saokun. Saokun means to retract the fist. It is not the same sao like Tan Sao. This sao means hand. Tan Sao, Pak Sao, 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 Sao. Sao, Sao. It's different. They're different words in Chinese, and they mean different things. To us, they sound the same. But this one means hand. This means retract. Saokun. Kun means fist. Kun. Jeet Kune Do. Whenever we say Kun, like Wing Chun Kun, it means fist or boxing, fighting. Okay, Saokun, retracting the fists. Okay, now the next part of the hoisik sequence is called Hoi Ma. Hoi Ma means to open the horse. Open the horse. Why horse? When you ride a horse, this is the way you ride a horse. You don't ride a horse like this. If you do, I have horses. You don't ride a horse like that, trust me. When you ride a horse, you control the horse with your knees. If you guys ride motocross, I have one student who's a star motocross racer, and he says he uses Yiji Kimyama to hold the seat of his bike. When he jumps and when he is going around turns, he uses Yiji to hold the seat so he can control the back wheel. So it's that kind of control. So, Hoi Ma, to open the horse. Now the position is called Yiji Kimyama. Yiji Kimyama. Why? Yiji means character 2.
Yiji, ça veut dire caractère 2. Parce que en chinois, caractère 2, c'est une petite ligne au-dessus d'une grande ligne.
That's how you write 2. So if I put a giant 2 on the floor, short line, long line, heel, toe, it's character 2. And also, there's a short line here and a long line here. So there's 2 2s in the character 2 stance. That's why it's called character 2. Alright? Now, Kimyang. Kimyang means restraining the goat.
Retenir une chèvre.
Now, why? Because if you ever watch the American rodeo ropers and they rope a cow, when they grab it, they go like this, and they hold it like this. Because if your feet are straight, you got no stability. But when you do like this, they can't pull you as easily. Also, if someone pushes, you know that when the farmers are cutting the wool from the sheep, Philip, when they're cutting the wool, or whatever they do with the sheep.
Ou ce qu'ils veulent faire avec les moutons, mais ça c'est pas.
Like in Pennsylvania. Okay. In Pennsylvania, we do other things.
Not responsible for the translation.
So, it's the idea of holding a goat from pulling you or pushing you forward. That's why it's called restraining a goat. And Ma is horse. And in Wing Chun, all of our stances are called Ma, because it's a horse position. Okay? So that's Yiji Kimyama. That's the end of the hoisik sequence. So hoisik was Subjisao, Kwansao, Saokun, Hoi Ma. That's called hoisik. sequence. Okay, next we have another Sabji Sao, character 10 hand, Quan Sao, rolling arms, Sao Kin, retracting fist. Next we have Yachi Chun Kin. Yachi Chun Kin means character sun thrust punch.
C'est le point du caractère soleil. Parce que le caractère soleil en chinois, c'est un rectangle, comme une feuille A4 en position portrait et pas en position paysage.
I'm just asking them how they feel. Everybody's okay with that here? Okay. Now, let's talk about the purpose for the movements in Siu Leem Tau. Now, the very first move that we do is not for fighting. It gets repeated again, and that is for fighting. But the first one is not for fighting. When we do this Sabji Sao, the very first one, it's designed to close your chest. When you go like this, your chest gets held down. And then when you breathe, your chest does not get bigger. Like normally, if you did this, your chest gets bigger, right? But when you do this, your chest does not get bigger. That is called reverse breathing. It's called reverse breathing. But it's not, you're not breathing into your stomach, of course. You're still breathing in your lungs, but lower in the lung. And why do we do it? This is to begin reverse breathing, which causes you to do this when you fight and not. Why? Because in a fight, in Wing Chun, we want to be rooted, sunken. Toes grip the ground. We don't want to be up. We want our weight to be down. So if you breathe then exaggerated, you're like up. And they don't want you to be that way. They want you to be, they want your center of gravity to be lower. So it's harder to knock you down. So a low center of gravity. Now, a low center of gravity is something that's common to many sports. Tennis, right? Football, right? Wrestling, right? So Wing Chun is no different. We want to keep our center of gravity low. We don't want to be lazy and be like this, where you're easy to knock over. You want to be stable. So that's why we do reverse breathing. So when you begin the form, if you do this, right? After that, you don't have to think about it anymore. The rest of the form, you'll breathe that way. Your body just does it naturally, right? You don't have to remember it. You just, once you, the rest of the form, you're going to keep breathing like that, even when you take your hands away. You start it, and it just keeps going. So it's reverse breathing. That's why we do that. Now the next movement, when we do this, again, not for fighting. It gets repeated, and that is for fighting. This one is designed to teach you how to move your hands in a very tight space without hitting yourself or hitting your own hand. It teaches you where your hands are in relation to your body, in relation to each other. So you learn to move your hands close without, trapping yourself. And also, when you touch your opponent's hand, you learn to move your hand where his hand isn't. And don't do this. You don't want to do something like you wouldn't do this, right? So now when you touch him, you're not going to go like that. You know where his hand is, so it's like an extension of yours. So if I know where my shoulder is, his must be right here. If I know where my chin is, his must be right there. I know where my knee is, his must be right there. You can feel through your own hand and work backwards. So that's what this is. Okay? Now, everybody, when you were a beginner, do you remember when you were a beginner? Maybe some of you are beginners. But you guys have been doing Wing Chun for a long time. Remember when you were a beginner? Did you do this? Don't lie. Okay? Did you do this? Did you accidentally hit your own hand? Don't lie. I have. You still do it. Okay? Did you ever hit your own hand? Yes, you did. Why? Because you didn't know exactly where your hands were in relation to each other. Now you don't do it anymore. But this is where the idea comes from. The Siu Leem Tau, the little idea. That's the little idea of this move. Right? Sao Kin, retracting fist. Sao Kin It has many uses. You would be surprised. It looks like it's not for fighting, but it has many uses. It can be used in single or in double. Now let me give you some examples of when Siu would be used in double. If my opponent was choking me from behind, I might use double Siu to do this and throw him. See? Let go. But if he didn't let go, his head would smash the floor. And how did I do it? Like that, with double Siu. Okay? Double Siu could be here when I pull him into a knee. Double Siu. Double Siu could be, he's going to stab me with a knife. Break his arm. Double Siu. He has me in a headlock. Yeah. No. Eh? Yeah. And then more techniques to follow. Double Siu could be, Mark's taller than me, right? Mark's taller than me? Mark's going to attack me. From the floor, watch. Right? Watch. The more I pull, the higher I go with my kick from the floor. That's not sorry. So, many applications for double Siu. Now let's do one where everybody does it. Okay, let's do an application. This application will be for Yiji Kimyongman and double Siu. And let me think about this. And Hoiman. Hoiman? So this is what you're gonna, this technique we're gonna do now is gonna use, it's gonna use this, it's gonna use this, and it's gonna use double Siu. And it's gonna use the idea of Pangangsao, neck trap. It's going to use the idea of Pangangsao. Okay? Now, let me demonstrate to Mario. Mario's in my guard. I'm in guard. He's in my guard. He wants to punch me in the face. See how easy he could punch my face? He could even hit the ground next to my head. Right? Now watch what I'm going to do. And you walk towards me, he still can't hit me. Right? Look at my position. Yiji Kim Young, all right? Now, watch what I do next. Remember this position? Right? Remember this position? It had Siu in it, right? So this is an application for Siu, because when I did Siu, it lifted me, it supported me, and it made my kick longer and more powerful. Okay? Now, we're going to, remember I said it's going to also use the idea of Pangangsao, the neck trap? Okay. 1. I put my knees in the way. He can still hit me, but not as easy. I put my knees together. Now he can't hit me, right? Now what I'm going to do is this. Here, and I'm going to go whoosh. Okay? Show one more time. I'm also going to use this. Bounce up, in a way. And we are going to use, remember Chun, Pan Gang Sao, neck trapping hand, we're going to use that. Maybe. Or, no. We're going to use Footwork. The one that looks like it can't be for a fight, we're going to use Footwork. And I'm going to show you how it can be for a fight. Okay? So, you get in my guard. Guard, right? He wants to punch me. Watch what I do. My feet like this. Right? Now watch, I hit my feet like this hook. Now watch. See this? After I do this, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take like this, and I'm going to choke him with Footwork and Footwork. Right? So without him, watch what I do. Without him, I'm like this, right? His head goes that way and his legs go that way. Right? So, one more time, I'm like this. I go inside his legs. Like the beginning of Siu Leem Tau. Right? And then, he doesn't know what I'm doing, right? I go like this. Right? Like this. If I want, I can. Right? Then I go like this. Footwork on his neck. Footwork on his head. And then what I do is I go like this. I pull and I push my legs. And you teach him how to tap. He knew how to tap, but some people might not know.
Pour arrêter de taper au sol.
Pour arrêter de taper au sol. Ouais. Excusez-moi, j'étais dans la caméra.
And you go. So you go around things. The person pops up and you go. Because my hand went here and it went Chang Dai Jam. So it can be stuff like that. So that's what Yun into Chang Dai Jam is for. Now Chang Dai Jam is a beautiful block for against elbows and knees. Chang Dai Jam will stop your opponent's elbows and knees real easily, besides being a nice strike down low. Now tomorrow in ground fighting, we're going to use Chang Dai Jam to escape from a closed guard. We're going to use Chang Dai Jam after we buck him from the mount. So I have plenty in mind for Chang Dai Jam tomorrow. Now Dai Hun Sao. Remember after you do Chang Dai Jam, your hand circles and closes? Dai Hun Sao? That would be, give me a front kick here. Yeah? Good. Give me that. Give me that front kick. Give me this round kick. So it can be a number of low grabs to stop kicks. Remember today we did, that was Dai Hun Sao times 2. So Dai Hun Sao is good for stopping, low shots. And it's good for holding on to the person's down low. Now I'll show you a real weird one that you can do in a ground fighting situation. When Mario is going to maybe punch me while I'm on the ground, and I don't really care which hand. When he goes to punch me when I'm on the ground, I can go like this and block. I can use Dai Hun Sao and grab his pants. And what I can do, well, that would rip his pants, but if he was wearing jeans, I can pick him up and and throw him by his pants leg. And that's an application for the low Hun Sao. You grab onto the legs of the pants. If somebody's wearing jeans, it works. It's not going to work on sweatpants, they might rip. But jeans, they're not going to rip. You can pick them right up off the ground by his pant leg. Try it when you're wearing street clothes. Okay? But that's another low Hun Sao application. Okay, after we have low Hun Sao, by the way, chop king is in there. Then we have, next is Bong, and then Tan, Pao. Now, we've done plenty of Bong Sao today. And we did plenty of Tan Sao today. Now, the one thing that's different that you may not know in your other schools of Wing Chun is Tan Sao can be a strike. Listen. Can you hear it? Don't need much room. Okay, I heard that. Okay, you don't need a lot of room. So that short tan can be a lot of things. It can be in Chi Sao. It can go short tan. Short tan could be that. It could be a strike though. What I was getting at is listen. Okay, do this to yourself. See how much that sucks? Now imagine that hitting you there. So open. 1, 2. Let it fly. Tan Sao can be a strike, which is kind of unusual. Now I did show you how to use Tan Sao to help your choke too. And we use Tan Sao to block a bunch of shit today. I don't think we need to practice Tan Sao right now. Okay, now Pao. Pao Sao is a good one. It's unusual because there's some things hidden here. Number one, the body raise. Remember the times when you choked and you went, that raise comes from this, when you do this and so down, because it causes your body to come up. So like, remember when I broke Mario's ankle? That raise comes from Pao Sao. Now Pao Sao can be a strike with the forearm. It can hit like this. For example, Mario punches and I might go like this and headbutt. Now I go, tsh. See? Tsh, tsh. And it would look like this here, but underneath the jaw. So you can hit like where you can go like this. Tsh, wah. Boom! You can break somebody's elbow with it. You can, Pao Sao can be not just after headbutt, but with, like not just after with the same hand that was doing the Pang Sao, but it can come after. You can go boom, whack, boom, whack, and continue with the same hand and hit with Pao Sao. So it can be those kinds of things. It can also be a palm up grab. After you hit like this, it hurts like hell. Mario will tell you it hurts like hell. So I can do like a grab, or it's the bottom half of, see? So I can do like this. That's Pao Sao. Now tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of uses for Pao Sao and ground fighting. Slipping through after the buck, choking to straighten his arm, and you're going to have plenty of applications tomorrow for Pao Sao on the ground.
Tonight maybe.
If you want. So, double Pao Sao. Okay, Bong Tan Pao. And we already did Bong Tan. Remember I told you Bong Tan, break loose from the grip? Or you punch it and you have this one. You can go Bong Tan. Right? 2 punches can come, you can go Bong Tan down. 1 punch, 2 punches can come, you can go Bong Tan straight. I think I showed you that one. Chi Sao, Bong Tan, part of Chi Sao. Okay, Bong Tan. Alright, so Pao, Tweet Sao. Now Tweet Sao we already did today. Remember when you did his punch game and you went cream su cream? That's Tweet Sao. You remember when you went Loi Guan and then you went, that's Tweet Sao. When it rubs. And Tweet Sao is even. You remember when even the technique we just did where you kind of went, your hand kind of, that's Tweet Sao too. When you do things like around, or you do things like around to choke. When you slide like a snake around the person's body. You know, when you do things that are like, when you're like kind of like a snake, and you do things.
Oh. What the heck was this?
A new one.
Tutsa. That was tutsa.
Tomorrow.
So, snaky. Tutsa. And then, of course, we have the punch chain. And the punch chain is used, you know, usually I open my hand after I punch. But I would do a chain of punches in certain circumstances. Number one, if my opponent stops fighting back. If he's not fighting back. Two, my opponent turns and runs. I might continue to chase him with punches. Another, if I'm sitting on top of him and he can't defend, I could when he's not defending. Or if he's throwing me straight punches, I can without opening my hand. These are all reasons why I might do that. And finally, and there's a lot more in Siu Leem Tau, believe me, Grandma. Finally, this, when I do my Salku, like this, there's an idea, a little idea, and the idea is, oh, the whole day I've been standing here without moving, right? But at the end of the form you go, and the idea is I can start to use footwork to help my hands. And there's lots of reasons, lots of good reasons for using footwork. I use footwork to get power. If I don't use any footwork, if I use footwork, the same punch, more power. I use footwork to change the distance. I use footwork to improve my facing. Okay. Better. Because now I'm looking at the dead side. I use footwork to add pressure. Okay. Add pressure. I use footwork to relieve pressure. Step through. Yeah. So footwork is used for all these different reasons. Okay? And there's so much more in Siu Leem Tau, it's stupid. It's just that I can only have so much time to show you what's in Siu Leem Tau. Tomorrow we'll do the overlap techniques. Okay? What I would like to do, I know you guys are probably sitting tired and bored by now, but before we close the class, I would like to do Siu Leem Tau as a group again. And what I would like